Hola chicos, today we're going to talk about mandatos formales for usted and ustedes. Contésteme cuando le llamo. Ya está. Okay, for usted and ustedes afirmativos, the good thing is that these are very similar to the two negative commands that you probably have already learned, or the subjunctive forms that you may have already learned as well. Just keep in mind that usted and ustedes commands are used for a different set of people than two commands. So usted is used for adults you don't know, or for groups of people you use ustedes. In Spain, they tend to use vosotros to address groups of people who are like peers or family members, but ustedes is understood in every part of the world. Okay, to form it, you do exactly what you do for the two negative commands or for the subjunctive. Take the yo form of the verb, cut off the o, add the opposite vowel. For AR verbs, that's an E, and for ER and IR verbs, that's an A. This is also the corresponding subjunctive form of the verb, so just as a reminder for those of you who've learned the subjunctive already. With ustedes, you're going to add an N to the end. Okay, that's true actually for negatives as well that we'll see in a minute. The only difference between usted and ustedes commands is that N. And here are some ejemplos. Llamar, llame, llamen. Salir, salga, salgan. Buscar, busque, busquen. So just remember too, just as a reminder, car-gar-zar verbs have a spelling change. When you go to the yo form and then cut off the o and add the opposite vowel, it's the same spelling change as you find in the first person preterite singular. Okay, let's talk a little bit about negativos. You're simply going to add a no in front of the affirmative command. Okay, now if there are pronouns, there's a different set of rules, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's the wonderful thing about usted and ustedes commands is that they are identical for affirmative and negative. Here's some ejemplos. Llamar, no llame, or no llamen. Salir, no salga, no salgan. And buscar, no busque, no busquen. Okay, so what do you do with those pronouns? The rules are the same as they are with informal commands. You want to attach the pronouns to the end of an affirmative, and you want to place them in front of a negative after the no. Remember that reflexive pronouns will use a se with usted and ustedes, whereas with informal commands, reflexive pronouns are a te. And a written accent is usually necessary when a pronoun is attached to the end. And that is true for affirmative commands, obviously, not for negative commands, because you don't attach pronouns to the end of negative commands. The general rule is to typically count back 3 vowels for placement, but just be careful when you have like a QU or a CU. A lot of times that U doesn't count. Okay, here's some ejemplos. So if you have concentrarse, concéntrese, no se concentre. Decirlo, dígalo, no lo diga. Pedirlo, pídanlo, no lo pidan. And dormirse, duérmanse, no se duerman. So if you look at all of those affirmative commands, you count back 3 vowels, and that's where you get your accent. But as always, pronunciation is really important, and if you can hear it when you pronounce it, chances are you'll put the accent in the right place. And that is the lesson on usted and ustedes commands. Adios!